Make your point on the News Hour. Join Arnab every night on the News Hour with your question. Ask your question and join the debate.
Breaking news coming in now from the UK. Now, remember, there were reports of a Sikh man who was thrown out of the overnight Wimbledon camping queue. We were told that he was thrown out of the queue ahead of Roger Federer's semi-final match. He then took to social media, detailed the insult at Wimbledon. The security official informed the Sikh man that he was reportedly making other people uncomfortable. This is the reasoning that was given to him, that he was making others uncomfortable, and that's why he was asked to in fact leave the queue. He was asked to leave the camping grounds just outside the Wimbledon complex at SW19. The man then took to social media and talked about this humiliation that he was subjected to, and he did say that the only reason that was given to him is that he was making others uncomfortable. That was reportedly what was said to him. Is it a case of blatant racism at the All England Club? That is the question. The man who's in his 20s, he insists that he did not do anything that should have warranted him being escorted off the grounds, him being told to get off the grounds. He was not intoxicated, he was not loud, he was not aggressive, and there had been no prior warning about any behavior either. It was a surprise to him as well when he was suddenly denied access to the ticket counter. He was denied the right to stand at the queue at Wimbledon when he was queuing up overnight. That's the overnight camping queue, which takes place every night during the Wimbledon fortnight, where those who haven't bought tickets in advance have the opportunity to view the Centre Court and Court 1 matches by lining up outside the complex and then getting tickets early in the morning. He says he was asked to leave overnight because he was making other people uncomfortable. Jasveer Gill, activist, is with us now for more on this. Jasveer Gill, the man in question, has said clearly that he did not do anything that should have warranted him being escorted out of the camping grounds, warranted him being told to leave the queue. There was no boorish behavior, there was no intoxication, and yet the only reasoning he was given is that he was making others uncomfortable. How do you react to that?
Hi there, sorry, was that question to me because the sound is not too clear?
Yes, that was for you. You know, we're discussing this incident of a Sikh man being asked to leave the Wimbledon queue. He wasn't really given much of a reasoning from what we are told.
No, he wasn't given what you would call a detailed explanation of why he was removed from the queue. We have put out a statement on SikhPA.com, which can be read from the people at Wimbledon, which clearly states that it was about him making people feel uncomfortable. How he did this is what there's a lot of speculation on. Was it because of his appearance, which he has himself commented on, that he believes that it could have been simply because of his appearance? Or was it because of another reason, such as Wimbledon commenting on the fact that he was warned prior about his behavior? But again, the man involved denies that he was ever warned in any such way. So I think it's something that needs more investigation.
Is this something that's being looked into? You know, the fact that he says that he was not warned. Also, if there was any sort of warning, even if there was, what exactly was objectionable in his behavior? Is this something that's being looked into by the All England Club?
I don't know if it's being looked into further by Wimbledon. In fact, I think that they have kind of done all the investigation that they want to. From the side of the Sikh community, we definitely feel that it's something that will need investigating if one of our own says that he feels this because of his physical identity and he was a victim of racial profiling. So that's something we'd be looking to do and help with. However, we must be aware that the person involved is not looking for any publicity. They don't want to be in front of the camera, and they don't want to make too big an issue of this. However, they do want to fight for justice and what would be right.
Do stay on with me. I think we have John Gilbert also joining us now from London. He will be, in fact, joining us in a couple of minutes. I'll go across to him for the latest on this. But just coming back to you, are there Sikh groups, Indian groups, South Asian groups in the UK who are, in fact, taking this up and really raising this issue and asking this question as to whether he was subjected to really nothing more than racial profiling?
I think the entire Sikh community are kind of aware of the situation, and they will take whichever steps that they need to kind of support a person who has been victim of racial profiling. So for now, again, because the whole tournament is ending on the weekend, we are still looking to sit down with the gentleman involved and speak with him directly and see what the next best steps would be and what would be appropriate for him. Considering the fact that he wants to remain anonymous and keep his public as private, but there is definitely going to be further steps taken from other groups.
Do you know, Jasveer, if the man in question is in fact planning to take any sort of legal action or follow through with this any further?
We have a meeting with him today in a couple of hours' time. So I think then we will kind of establish what the next steps we will take from here are.
Do you have any information also if other eyewitnesses, other sports lovers who might have been in the queue, if they have been asked about this, whether or not there was anything on the part of his behavior, what did they see? Has anyone been questioned about this?
We haven't managed to have any contact with anyone that was in the queue with the person involved at the time, but we have spoken to several people that know of him. They know that he has a particularly strong passion for sport and tennis specifically. And he has previously been a regular at Wimbledon, and he was even allowed back in the grounds later on. So if it was something about his behavior which was particularly bad or even threatening perhaps, then they would not have back in the ground. So the fact that they're in that situation in an overnight queue, the words uncomfortable were used about how he was making people feel, I think that kind of paints its own picture of what he might have been doing, or in fact what he might have not been doing to get himself kicked out.
Yes, absolutely. Do stay on with me, Jasveer. We also have Jonathan Gilbert now joining us live. John, the fact is that Wimbledon has, in fact, tried to clarify, saying that there was a warning which was issued to this man about his behavior. He, however, completely refutes that. He says there was no warning, there was no boorish behavior on my part, there was no intoxication. So he's really questioning why he was asked to exit the queue in the first place. What are the All England club members saying about this? And is this something that is being probed further?
Yes, well, as you say, there are effectively two different sides to this story, two conflicting accounts of what happened. The gentleman in question, Govind Pal Singh Kuna, this is his actual name, claiming that he was ejected from the queue at the small hours of the morning for no discernible reason. Wimbledon themselves claiming that he was causing some sort of disturbance and that he had been warned on several previous occasions. So clearly two completely conflicting accounts. And at the moment, we have no further way of clarifying that. We've reached out to the All England Club, and I'm hoping to catch up with Mr. Singh Kuna himself in person later this afternoon. Up until that point, I think we just have to suspend our judgment.
All right. Now, John, when he in fact first talked about this incident, and it's been a few days now on social media, was there any attempt, from any sections of the media, online media, or perhaps the local papers to look into this, to try and talk to some of the other eyewitnesses, the others who had been standing in the queue at the same time, to try and figure out what really had happened?
Not to my knowledge, no. I mean, a lot of journalism these days, for better or for worse, originates on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and so on and so forth. He tweeted, I think, he Facebooked on the day in question, which would have been last Friday. And then obviously the Twitter storm evolved over the weekend. It's not until yesterday and today that the mainstream media seems to have got hold of it, but that's effectively how these things work. No one obviously at the time queried or quizzed bystanders because no one was aware the event had happened. Whether this story now takes on greater momentum and resources will be deployed to try and clarify this and get to the bottom of it, we shall see. But we certainly will be making our own efforts to reach out to Mr. Singh Kuna this afternoon.
Just stay on with me, John. We also have Jasveer Gill with us. Jasveer, you did say that you are meeting him later today, probably in just a couple of hours. Has he given any indication to you as to whether he wants to take this further, whether there is going to be any attempt to perhaps look at legal options?
I think he wants advice from groups such as the Sikh Press Association, and we, of course, have links with many other groups of Sikh organizations which have experience in handling these kinds of situations. So we will speak to him, and then we will speak to them, and we will see the next steps that would be the best measures to take.
And John, you said you've also been trying to get in touch with this gentleman. So far, have you heard anything about, the fact that he's saying that there was no bad behavior on his part? Have you heard anything that he has actually said, his statements over the past few days?
Yeah, well, he spoke to a newspaper, a London-based newspaper by the name of the Metro. I don't know if you can still hear me or not. But he told them, I quote, "I felt awful. I felt like I should have fought back and negotiated, but in fact, I just backed down and silently left." That's what he told the Metro. So he has already expressed some sort of anger and perhaps self-criticism about what happened on the day. As I say, we're intending to reach out to him this afternoon, and hopefully he can be a little bit more forthcoming.
Also, Jasveer, very quickly, last couple of questions to you. So far, the only statement that we know of from Wimbledon itself has been one of the fact that he was reportedly warned once for his behavior. But have they in fact qualified that statement? Have they talked about what exactly it was in his behavior that was objectionable?
Well, publicly, no. I have had direct conversations with the people at Wimbledon. And from our discussions, the only thing that became apparent to me was that, again, he wasn't intoxicated. As you've said, he wasn't aggressive. He wasn't loud. So, I mean, we have to ask the question, what constitutes throwing someone out of a queue? What kind of behavior? If we consider someone else annoying, is that enough just to get them kicked out of a queue? Is that the kind of route we're going down? And what would it be about that person that we find so objectionable?
Now, and John, as you said, the jury's still out on this because it's still really unclear what exactly happened. And there's two completely contrasting views on this. But how much attention has this really got in the local media? You did talk of at least one paper speaking to the gentleman in question. There were, of course, there were some comments on social media. Because one would think that if this is something that has actually been looked at by the media there, then some details, some truth would have unraveled by now.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's been picked up by one London-based paper. Probably another paper, The Standard, will have got hold of it by now. It doesn't feel to me like a national newspaper story, probably because it's a little bit too localized, and obviously, there was no violence involved or anything that might escalate the tale. That said, we live in a world which is not uniquely restricted to conventional media. The amount of attention it's picked up on social media is more than enough to turn this into a talking point, certainly, and almost independently of traditional newsprint.
All right. Well, John, thanks very much for speaking with us on this. We, of course, will be speaking with you later once perhaps you have also spoken to the man in question. Also to Jasveer Gill. Thank you very much for joining us here on the show.